Honorable Dinesh Gunawardena, Minister of Education and Leader of the House of Parliament, Professor Sampath Amaratunga, Chairman, University Grants Commission, His Excellency Mizukoshi Hideaki, Ambassador of Japan to Sri Lanka, Professor H.D. Karunaratne, and Satoshi Watanabe Sensei, Graduate School of Engineering, Special Advisor to the President, the University of Tokyo, Japan. Distinguished guests, everyone, all the participants today, good afternoon. My name is Tetsuya Yamada. I'm Chief Representative of JICA Sri Lanka office. I'm currently in Japan, in Tokyo, so I'm joining this particular session from Tokyo. First of all, let me thank Professor Karu Sensei for allowing me to join the session to commemorate the second anniversary of establishment of University of Tokyo Sri Lanka office. And secondly, let me congratulate all those who have made great efforts in this past 2 years of establishment of University of Tokyo Sri Lanka office. It's really, really wonderful. Now, I would like to talk a little bit about what JICA does in this country. And also, I would like to explain to you all about the role of JICA in education sector in Sri Lanka, using the slide. Now, first of all, let me walk you through what JICA is. Maybe you know JICA well, so I will skip the first page of my slide. JICA in Sri Lanka, we have been in Sri Lanka for nearly 70 years. As we commemorate the 70th anniversary of establishment of diplomatic relationship between two nations this year, JICA also has the same kind of history in the past. And I would like to explain what has been done, what has been achieved during these 70 years in the past, together with our counterparts in Sri Lanka. We have accepted more than 14,000 Sri Lankan trainees in JICA training programs in all kinds of spheres. And we have dispatched over 3,000 JICA experts to Sri Lanka. And when it comes to ODA loans, we have committed nearly 2 trillion Sri Lankan rupees so far. And we also dispatched over 1,100 volunteers in Sri Lanka. And through this cooperation, we have made tremendous achievement together with our counterparts in Sri Lanka. For example, when it comes to water supply, JICA has committed about 211 billion Sri Lankan rupees for water supply projects all over the country to provide more than 3.5 million people with safe drinking water. And when it comes to power, 12% of power is generated by the power plants constructed with the assistance of JICA. And when it comes to expressway, almost 1/3 of total length of expressway is covered by JICA assistance. And in the education sphere, about 170 master's or PhD scholars have been accepted in Japan. Now, I would like to talk a little bit about our priority areas of our assistance. These are the current priority areas of our assistance in Sri Lanka. First one is the promoting quality growth, and human resource development falls into this category. but mainly infrastructure projects such as transportation, power supply, water supply, sewage, and all the kind of infrastructure projects together with the human resource development. And second pillar is development cooperation for inclusive growth, such as agriculture and fishery, improvement of livelihood in emerging regions. And the third pillar of our assistance is mitigating vulnerability, such as climate change and disaster risk reduction, and improvement of social services such as health, aging, education, and things like that. And this is the list of projects that that are ongoing currently. We have about 10 ongoing loan projects together with the several grant projects. And this is a list of technical assistance projects. We have many areas of assistance, starting from transport, power, these infrastructure projects. But not only that, we have agriculture, water supply, gender and disaster risk management, and social services. And we are not only working with the government of Sri Lanka, but we are increasingly working together with private sector and grassroots organization as well. And one of the examples, shining examples of our working together with the private sector in Sri Lanka is SuralaNet. This is an e-learning education platform built by a private company, SuralaNet. This particular project started in 2014 when we provided a grant assistance for pilot study for a private company to come up with the business plan to establish e-learning platform in Sri Lanka. This is basically for the kids to learn after school in the private JICA. This is basically prep school type of education institution, private based institution developed in Japan. And after the business study, which was successfully conducted, based on the study, this particular company, SuralaNet, opened 4 JICAs in Sri Lanka in 2015. And after that, even during the pandemic, they made successful path to open and provide the education opportunities for the kids to learn, especially in the low income low income class people. And case number 2 shows you how we work together with the other counterparts to provide equity injection in a private equity fund to support MSMEs in this country. So these are some of the examples what we do in the private sector as well. Now, let me move on to talk a little bit about our education sector assistance in Sri Lanka. Basically, we are conducting 5 type of things in education sector in Sri Lanka. First one is study in Japan. We have scholarship program called JES, which I will talk a bit more about later on. And other scholarship programs such as Maritime Safety and Security Policy Program together with GRIPS and Japanese Coast Guard Academy. And second type of assistance in education sector is JICA program, which is quite new type of activities globally. And third one is the inclusive education. This is something that we provide learning opportunities for all to leave no one behind. Basically, we do education for the vulnerable, such as children with special needs, and working together with NGOs and working together with private companies. And fourth type of education assistance is human resource development in every sphere. Like I showed you a little earlier, the list of technical cooperation projects, everything that we do in the technical assistance sphere is basically to build the capacity of people engaged in many activities in Sri Lanka. So everything that we do is related to human resource development. And the last one is learning opportunities for Japanese studies students. For example, last year we have provided a lecture for university students of University of Tokyo for I myself did the lecture for study tour for those students in Japan. Through this cooperation, what we are trying to achieve is laying foundation for development, and secondly, promoting inclusive society, and lastly, but not the least, mutual understanding and trust between the two nations. Let me talk a little bit more about JDS and other study in Japan opportunities that we provide in Sri Lanka. First one is the JDS, the Project for Human Resource Development Scholarship Program, which started globally in 1999. But in Sri Lanka, we have been providing this assistance since 2010. And currently, annually, we accept 15 master's students and 2 PhD students from public sector in 6 universities in Japan, including University of Tokyo. And those students basically studies in various areas such as public administration, development economy, business administration, civil engineering, and environment, and others. And second one is the Maritime Safety and Security Policy Program, which is the co-hosted by GRIPS, Graduate Institute for Policy Studies, and Japanese Coast Guard Academy. This is a joint program between GRIPS and Coast Guard Academy. And we accept Coast Guard officers from Japan, Sri Lanka, India, Philippines, Thailand, and Malaysia. And they are studying at the level of master's degree in Japan. And finally, I would like to talk a little bit about JICA Chair program, which we are currently conducting together with University of Peradeniya, sponsored by JICA. This is a new program to share Japan's modernization process from Meiji era up to now in the areas of politics, diplomacy, society, economy, development policy, industrial policy, in education, and etc. This is basically a series of 8 lectures, and we have conducted so far 4 lectures, and we are planning to conduct the same kind of JICA program with other universities in Sri Lanka as well in the future. So this is basically briefly about what we are doing in education sector in Sri Lanka. But my point is, I think, our education assistance is not really big enough, but we have such a huge opportunity between us, and our windows of opportunities are wide open. So I would like to welcome any kind of suggestions or proposals to enlarge our cooperation in education sector in Sri Lanka. Thank you very much for listening.